Goeiedag! Good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And I have something very unusual with me here. It's a beautiful little doll. Isn't she gorgeous? Now, I'm a man, and I've never played with dolls, okay? But let's face it, young girls do. Because when a young girl grows up, she lives in this part of her life where she's in a fantasy world, and you know, the little doll is her baby, and they have let's go and play doctors, and let's have a tea party, and all this sort of make-believe stuff. You know what I'm talking about. I think everybody gets what I'm talking about here. That's great if you're a young girl growing up, but it's not great when you're the president of a country. And you know what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about Hippo Eyes. Cyril Ramaphosa. He lives in a land of make-believe. His promises might as well be a little kitchen party with his mates where he's just enriching himself. It's not about helping the community. It's not about doing anything for South Africa. And there's a very interesting article that's come out, which is an opinion piece, but it basically sums up how stuffed South Africa is and why it's not going to get any better under Cyril Ramaphosa. And the article is by, let me just get James de Villiers. And he says, make no mistake that when you look at South Africa's technical recession announced by Statistics South Africa on Tuesday, that you look at it as a self-inflicted recession, a result of the ANC government's inability to implement far-reaching reforms. And that's because they live in a fantasy world of dolls and absolutely baseless promises. Because the 1.4 GDP decline in the fourth quarter of 2019 is a direct result of the unprecedented level 6 load shedding implemented by Eskom in December, and nobody can dispute that. Load shedding that brought industries to a halt disrupted supply chains and transportation systems, leaving employees stuck in traffic or at home, and hence reducing the productivity levels of the country. Load shedding is not an energy crisis. Load shedding is, as described by Ramaphosa in his 2019 State of the Nation address, where he promised a turnaround in Eskom's operations and economic crisis. Now, before I go on with the opinion piece, I have to tell you that not everybody is aware that for most of Zuma's presidency, Ramaphosa chaired a delegation from Parliament who oversaw Eskom. It was under his watch that Eskom basically nosedived into nothingness, into the state it is right now. This is the same man making these shallow, baseless promises. He is a complete fraud. Anyway, let's continue now with the opinion piece. But it is also a safety crisis and job crisis. Every time the lights go off, entire suburbs are plunged into darkness. An ideal environment for criminals, and we know that criminals are just rampant all over the gangster state, which is South Africa. Telecommunication companies alone have repeatedly mentioned the millions that they have to spend to replace backup batteries at signal towers, which are stolen during load shedding. That is money that could have been spent investing back into the South African economy and thereby creating jobs. Load shedding forces restaurants to close, mining operations to halt, and companies to send their employees home, ultimately reducing income and profit and leading to retrenchments. Make no mistake that the jobs South Africa lost last year are as a direct result of the president's inability to implement reforms, which was one of his key policy promises. It's been 1 year and 5 months since Ramaphosa introduced a stimulus package to address the first economic recession of the presidency. Can you name one of his projects mentioned in the package, such as a massive 400 billion rand infrastructure fund, of which not one project has yet started construction? Get that? 400 billion rand infrastructure fund, and not even one project has started under that particular policy promise. Okay, can you name one of the projects mentioned in the package that has actually been implemented or implemented without serious delays? In his sermon in February, or State of the Nation address in February, Ramaphosa introduced a series of energy reforms to improve the country's electricity supply. Reforms that, if introduced at the start of his presidency in 2018, could have helped to avoid the current crisis. Now, that crisis is going to be absolutely multiplied by Moody's pushing the rand to junk. It's like, someone's pushing your head under the water the whole time. But once Moody's come along, you don't come up for air, you're stuck under the water. That's the situation. Because the longer the state waits to open up the electricity grid for private generation, the longer companies are at the mercy of Eskom, who could halt its operations at any moment. One decision to allow private generation without those nasty bureaucratic hurdles at the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, or NERSA, would unlock a flood of investment in the South African market, improving our electricity availability and ultimately growing our economy. But instead, the government remains locked in planning meetings and writing strategies such as the National Treasury's economic paper, without any move towards implementation. This is where the land of Alice in Wonderland and dolls comes in. The ANC are playing with dolls. They have absolutely no idea what they are doing. Instead, President Ramaphosa spends his days building social compacts and support for his ideas amongst the ruling ANC alliance, while our people remain jobless and South Africa's economy goes under. Now, I would add to that and say that the basis of everything that's going pear-shaped in South Africa are the racist employment policies which are in place. And I don't have to go into them. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. And they're there just to enrich the ANC cadres. That's how hypocritical and how devious and how criminal this gangster political party is. It is shocking beyond belief. Really. The kids holding a little tea party with their dolls could do better than Ramaphosa is doing right now with the South African economy. All right, guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bells for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe.